really understand anything about the course. So if we scroll down here, and in the first video I talked about some of this other stuff here, but at the very bottom I added a few things. And so these are the 3 links you should be most concerned with in this kind of first week and a half. So first of all, are samples of what students, their blogs from earlier semesters. So I'm going to come through here and just open one of these up. Okay, so let me talk a little bit about this setup. So, I mean, there's different blogs. It's up to you. You choose what format or platform, rather, you want to use. And this one has been done on WordPress.com. So if you go to WordPress.com up here, you can sign up for an account, or maybe you already have an account through a professor who asks you to do it for a different course. And if you already have an account, you can always create a new WordPress site. So I think I have like a dozen of them from doing it with different classes. So just create a new site. And you could do Tumblr, WordPress, Blogger. You could go to the next level and choose something like Wix. That's kind of like a little bit more of a full-featured website builder. But I don't necessarily recommend that, but you can if you want to go to the next level. So with the next thing after you choose a format and set up an account, all of these allow you to choose different themes. So there are usually for some of them more fancy themes that you might pay like $5 or $10 for, but they all have free themes, and the themes are just basically things like how it's set up. So here we have the kind of the flag, the header. Some of these, let me look at this next one. Might be more graphical. So in this theme, it's really kind of a blog theme that's really featuring the different articles, and it's very visual. In Abby's over here, it's similar. So we have the flag is exactly the same in all of them, and then there's a feature photo for each one. So as you and it'll ask you, what do you want the feature to, or at least in this theme, what do you want the feature photo to be? And either I can click on the headline or the photo, and then it will go to that particular page. And one feature in all these blog type formats is the most recent article should always be first, and that's just a feature of blogging since it was kind of designed. You know, you can go either way. So in this one, the photo is really the teaser, the photo and the headline. So one thing you do have to have is a nice short headline for every one of your posts that's very topical. And sometimes, like in this one, you know, I don't really know what the city is or this place, but I can tell it's like this one's going to be about a particular destination, and at least I can see what it is. It is nice if it's, you know, like this one here. So through the visual of the chocolate store and Candyland, as a visitor, as a reader, I get a very good sense of what this article is probably going to be about. And again, this theme is very visual driven. So you know, I would assume that Natalie here feels very comfortable with taking lots of photos and taking like close-up photos. You know, for all of you, you're really going to have to make sure you take lots and lots of photos and lots of different types of photos. And if you're going on an adventure, going on a side trip, whatever, going to visit something, and you're not quite sure if you're going to write a story about it, then just assume, since you're in this class, that whatever you do, you're going to be writing stories about it, and just take lots of photos. So in case you decide, oh, that thing I just did, that might make for a good topic for an article. And oh yes, great, I already took a whole bunch of photos. So a couple of things. Let's go back to just the templates in general. So what do you have to have? You have to have, I want you to have a good name for your blog, okay? That kind of indicate to readers who might find your blog through a search engine or a link somewhere. that this is a travels blog. It's your travel blog. Um, it should be maybe a little bit or topical or not, right? So what if she says a year based in Belgium, but what if she decides to take her blog and continue blogging, you know, as she continues in her life? Then maybe the subheader she would want to change because she's not in Belgium anymore. Um, so it could just be, Abby's Adventures or in general. And then I want everybody needs to have an about page, okay? And your about page is just for your readers to know the basics of who you are. Don't, put your telephone number. You don't necessarily have to put your photo in here, but just a little about you and what you're doing this summer, that someone might kind of get a little bit of bio information on you. So everybody needs to have an about page. And so for all of these formats, they should allow you to do both pages and posts. So posts would be the linear, like the most recent first, like here, and then a page is a static kind of link at the top usually. You could. She doesn't necessarily need to do photos. That's just an extra. So I want everyone to have at least an about page somewhere that gives the basic information. And then other than that, you're just trying to choose a good theme in terms of the requirements for the course, but also for good blogging in general. Is choose a good kind of theme that you feel like is well organized. I like the fact that we have the dates here. She liked having the teaser, like which basically is the lead, the first half paragraph, and then the feature visual. And make sure there is some kind of feature visual. It doesn't necessarily have to be as kind of visually rich as this one. That's like very visually driven. But either kind of way, and there's 6 or 7 different other options that are kind of between those two that you could choose, and also each or all the different platforms, blogging platforms would have different free themes that you could choose from. So that's what you need to do for some of them are going to have some search engine optimization like a tab. And so for that, just go in and put your name and some keywords associated with what you're doing this summer. And then that will be picked up by the search engines and maybe hopefully lead people to your blogs. So that's for the look and feel of the blog itself. For the posts, let me go back to Candyland here. Like I said, have a good title. Whatever you choose as the title is gonna, so just Candyland is gonna be picked up as the link from the main part of the website. So it needs to be short but topical so people can understand. I'm gonna have a couple other short videos talking about good travel writing in general. And I've put 2 links, 2 additional readings that I want you to do. Now these are both short. And the first one is the tips for creating a travel blog. And to be honest, it's mostly stuff that I just said. There's a few additional things for those of you who decide to go beyond it. Like I said, choosing a good name for your blog, and then choosing a good template. I'm going to just scroll down here. Picking a good theme. So it's basically the things that I just said. So I'm not going to go over those again. But again, just make sure you browse through it in case you forget some of the things I said. The second one, instead of this one, the first one is for setting up the blog itself, and the second one is tips for good travel writing in general. And like I said, I'm going to create a couple short videos talking about that. One at the beginning of next week, and then as I get into the early kind of critiques or comments about some of your writing. But go ahead and read this now before or while you're writing your first article. Some of these things we're doing in class. So we're doing the reading exercises and discussion, and so, like I said in the first video, if you want to be a good travel writer, then you should read good travel writing. As we go down, I think he talks a little bit. Um, let's see, about the different genres. I'm not sure which one it is, um, of travel writing. And keep in mind that so there's some travel writing that's very kind of memoir-ish, like very reflective, and um, and that's all kind of about the person's personal feelings. And then there's some that's a little bit more commercial. Let's say you're writing for a company that kind of specializes in travel writing and talking about certain places that people want to go, like Frommer's or Lonely Planet or something like that. And those are very much fact based. And in this travel writing report, remember that this is a genre of journalism. So we're kind of in between there, where you want to give facts and details about the places you're going, factual information that a person who's reading it might need if they decide to go to that same place, that same restaurant, that same state park, or whatever it is, the same city that you're visiting and writing about. At the same time, you want to give some of your personal experience, because your personal experience, is great to read for someone who might not go to that place, but also for the person who's going there. So it's kind of an in between that you're doing for this genre of journalism. Um, as we scroll down here, it gets into talking about storytelling and editing, and I'm going to talk about that in my next video. So for editing, I do expect you to use AP style, which most of you should have been kind of introduced to in a journalism course or writing course or a advertising or public relations. All use AP style. And I provided a link to basic. So I'm not going to be grading off big time if but I am going to be expecting you to kind of adhere to the basic principles of AP style. And just make sure you edit. I definitely noticed, if you just write it all down and go ahead and post it, I will notice that you didn't go through and you're looking for typos, you're looking for fragment sentences, you're looking for narrative that you wrote down that just doesn't make sense. It's like convoluted. So you definitely should not be posting your first draft up on the blog. It should be probably the third draft. It would be if it was my blog, then that's what I would probably be doing. Read it over at least twice after you write it. So again, just read this, and it is right here at the bottom. Okay, so again, getting into the basics of, let's see, where do we have? Candyland is the one I was looking for. Here it is. Okay, so you want to have several things. So first of all, kind of chunk up your writing. So that means different paragraphs. So imagine if all of this writing was all one gigantic long paragraph. It's hard when you're looking at a screen to kind of for you to look at text when it's all in one gigantic block. So chunking is just making sure you have 2 or 3 sentences and then a break, 2 or 3 sentences and a break. Obviously, on this online, we don't have paragraph indentions and things like that. The font face and size should mostly be determined by the theme that you choose. So for the most part, don't worry about that unless you notice that all of a sudden different fonts are sneaking in there. You all want to have just one font. Adding in videos, whether if it's your video that you create and you put on YouTube and then you insert it, is great. Or if you find a video on YouTube that's very specific about the thing that you're talking about, then indent or input that in. In WordPress, all you need to do is paste in the URL of a YouTube link, and bam, it automatically recognizes that it's a YouTube video, and it will embed it. On other platforms, you might have to click on a button to embed a video from YouTube. And while I'm talking about that, same thing with social media posts. I think it's great if you embed a Instagram photo or a twit pic that's either yours or someone else's that you find that's about the thing that you're talking about. So this doesn't replace taking your own photos. So this is her photo that she took too. But sometimes if you add a social media embed, it kind of adds the social element too, so that the reader can see that other people are talking about it, or can click on that and see other photos associated with that thing. So it kind of adds a different element to put a social media embed as opposed to just your own photo. Okay, and then finally links. So let's say I decide to go to, I don't know, the State Fair in Maryland, and I do a little research on it, and I find the State Fair website, and I find a blogger who's writing about it. So I could put the links to those things in the same way that she has here. So typically, let's say I found this guy's website, and so I would highlight that, and then in the blog tool, I would say, okay, this is the URL I want to that I found his website, and then bam, it would become a link. So it should be like either one word or a short phrase that is the link. And so these again are just kind of like more journalistic resources, like facts or additional information that the reader can get, and that's very useful if the person decides to actually go there. And then obviously plenty of photos. The different templates or platforms you use will have different. So sometimes some of them allow for you to kind of embed a couple photos or even 3 or 4, and it's kind of almost becomes a mini slideshow. Let's see what happens when I click here. So see, it becomes a little mini photo gallery. And so in WordPress, that's one option, or you can just do a single standalone photo like this is here. So the main thing is just think about the formatting and the media, not just the writing when you do your first post. And so that's all I have for you for right now. Um, choose choose something for that first post that you feel is very doable. There are some different styles of writing. You can have some articles that focus more on really narrative storytelling, others that are kind of more like reviews of restaurants or places that you've gone. But choose like a short, like half-day adventure, and I think that you will do fine on your first post. And again, when that's due and everything is really right at the very top here. A couple things just to wrap up. First of all, if this is your first time you're taking a course online only, just make sure that you come to Moodle often, that you really focus on these deadlines, you watch the videos that I put out,